Buenos días a todos. Esto del sentimiento.
Morning to one and all. The feelings of the gut. I mean, this is a title that makes you think, doesn't it? Let me explain how I got to this title so you get to know me a bit better. We are going to have a 30-minute, 45-minute presentation, and the rest will be Q&A. I'm going to be saying several things here that maybe haven't been mentioned before, or maybe people don't dare say, because I started in 1974 working with this when I was hospitalized in Barcelona. I've always wanted to be a nurse. I'd always wanted to be a nurse, and my father wanted me to be a doctor. And I said, no, I want to be a nurse because I wanted to be next to the patient to help heal the patient. And this word, being able to help the patient, is what the therapist, the doctor, and the nurse should do to help patients. The feeling of the gut grew from my own observations because my grandmother used to give me enemas with sodium bicarbonate to bring down my fever. And my mother would say to the doctor, Dr. Puig, my daughter doesn't eat. And then I would get an enema. And I didn't understand a thing. And I would tell my mother, I will eat. And she would say, it doesn't matter, you're getting an enema. As you can see, now I have been working many years in colon hydrotherapy, removing fecal mass. And from 1974, when I did the first irrigation in a patient's gut, by listening to the feces, and Hippocrates used to say the same. If you want to know what a person is like, you have to smell and taste that person. And that's how he started with the technique of the theory of the humors and of the mood of each person, and depending on the humor, the fluid that was secreted. I'm sure you know about the different types of characters, the biliac or the sulfuric, carbonic, phosphoric type of person. And I started to link, as I'm a homeopath, I started to link all these fields, and I started to see at work that patients that cure their gut change their attitude, change their posture. And I went to the publishing house with my book. They said, why don't you give it a name such as Goodbye Toxins or the Detox Method? I said, no. If you can just wait for a little while, I'll find the right name. I'm a believer. I believe in God. I'm religious. Some of you believe in the universe, some of you believe in nature. We all have our own beliefs. But I spoke to a friend of mine and I asked for a Reiki because I said I need to connect and find the title for the book. At 5 minutes later, I had the name, The Feeling of the Gut, and that's how my story starts as a therapist. Because in the Spanish CHD Association, I think we should include the name hydrotherapies of colon hydrotherapy and include the term hydrotherapist. The first question is, do feelings impact our body? Of course, because when we are upset, then we get diarrhea or constipation. The neurovegetative system starts activating itself. Can we talk about the feeling of the gut? Of course we can. Why? Because where we see the condition of the gut, the attitude of the person, leads you to ask just one question. What's wrong with this person who looks pale and drawn and who has black circles under their eyes? 90% of patients, and I can assure you that this is the case, 90% of patients are not cured by us, but get cured. They do get cured. The disease is not something that exists. We don't have diseases. We have patients. We don't have diseases. We have patients. Colon hydrotherapy is the basis, the pillar of our treatment. And this is how I'm going to start my show. Now, you're going to be listening to things, you're going to be hearing things that maybe you haven't heard before, or maybe you have. Because as I have been working as a hydrotherapist for so many years, connecting always with the patient, I have reached the following conclusions using all this assessment. It's a comprehensive assessment that starts with the physiopsychology. What is that person's appearance? What is the expression on their face? As Dr. Pilar Gomez was saying, patients ask us, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And that is when you work with the patient, when you have created this strong intuition in yourself, you have developed this intuition, you can connect with patients, and then patients listen to what I see about them as a mirror. I'm using this mirror idea. I have studied traditional Chinese medicine, but we're not going to be talking about techniques. I'm going to tell you what I feel when I see a patient. When someone has dark circles under their eyes, it's because there's a lack of yin. There's a kidney insufficiency. It's a kidney insufficiency, a kidney failure. My specialty in colon hydrotherapy is bioenergetic, and when we have this kidney insufficiency, it means there is a lot of sadness and self-aggressiveness, and this person is suffering. If, apart from physiopsychology, we look at the temporal maxillary tension, we look at the tension in the back, we see all the information from the spinal cord, and we see that there's a problem if there is tension. Firstly, because they are not chewing properly, they're not salivating properly, and there's this self-demanding nature. And as the patient cannot reach their objective, they feel frustrated, and there is this sadness and aggressiveness. And then we have to see whether there is any energy leaks, and energy leaks come from neurofocal blocks, and it's very important to see how many neurofocal leaks we have when we assess the patient. What do I mean by that? We're talking about neurofocal leaks. That's an energy that is blocked, and it goes from the head to the last chakra, that is between the scrotum and the anus. It's very important to have this as a very clear thing to work on. Then we look at the tongue, the skin, the nails. You know that there are different types of tongues. If the tongue is dry or hydrated, or if the tip of the tongue is red, or if the base of the tongue is yellow, it's all information that we get to know whether the liver is burdened, or it's the blood, or another organ. The nails are also very important. I don't know whether you know that in the past GPs would look at your nails, and if you had any black spots or white spots, if they were white spots, that meant that your immune system was a bit low, and if you had black spots, and this is important to know, that's something you see in obsessive people who tend to self-attack themselves, that are self-aggressive. It's important to know this. Then we're going to be looking at the heavy metals. I use the Mora bioresonance, and this is very, very important. The interferential fields. Scars. We have 3 scars. Before doing any colon hydrotherapy, it's very important to have a neurotherapy. One is, and the most important one is this Caesar's cut scar. If we have a Caesar's cut that interferes after a Caesar's cut surgery and there's fibrosis, you won't be able to move that gut because of that block. Then the appendix, the cecum. If we have a fibrosis in the cecum, when you want to reach the cecum, you cannot reach it. It's impossible. It's all those bubbles, all that gas, and you don't know what's happening. You have to check the scars, or an inguinal hernia, and then the episiotomies in women. A long episiotomy, we can have a problem of fibromyalgia and a block in the anus and the rectum. If before we do a colon hydrotherapy, we look at the rectum, we can see that there is a narrowing of the anum. We do that, and we see that this is a person who's constrained, who's afraid of sex, and maybe it's someone who has been abused, and this is something we see with the rectal examination. And an episiotomy was done so that the child could be born. And all these scars help us by giving us many direct information before doing a colon hydrotherapy. And it's very important. It's crucial, in fact. Then we have the postures. I'm a posturologist. You see that I'm saying all the time that I am this and I am that, but I've always been very interested in all these therapies and to link them with colon hydrotherapy. Postures are very important. If you are not using a foot properly and your Achilles tendon is tense, then your back is tense, and you have tension in the eyes, the cranial pairs, and this can cause many problems. And mainly, it can cause a hyperlordosis. You know, those bellies that we sometimes see with a block on the pubis area, and this is a problem with feminism in women. Next, when we do the patient's assessment to do the colon hydrotherapy, we are going to look at 55 symptoms that chronic candidiasis give you. If you just get 50% of those symptoms, you know that there is candidiasis. And then we can decide what type of preparation we need before a colon hydrotherapy. And next, for parasites, we will use the moon phases. I'm sure this is something that you already know about. All of you who are homeopaths know this. And I studied in 1998, I did a study on 1,000 people, and I looked at I was studying people who died, all right, and 77.7% of people would die 45 days before their birthday. And this is a study I did. And I went to a funeral home to do this study. And when you have a patient coming 45 days before their birthday and coinciding with the law of bioenergy, and that's every 7 years we change our cells and every 5 we vary our energy, then I deduce that these people are coming for a change at 7, 14, 28, 35, and so on, 35. And I study the changes that take place every 7 years. And when I have a patient before me, I use my intuition, and I very often shock my patients. And I find it difficult to keep quiet, and I always say things. But now I'm going to give you the method for the first time ever of how I do it and how I use it. By putting together all this data, I'll let you know about all my work after studying so many different fields. Dr. Allison said that she used to have 40 weekly patients in her clinic, and I've also have that number of patients, and I always touch my patient's belly. So you can imagine how many bellies I've touched. But as I am there with the patient, I accompany the patient, I do talk, because you see that I never keep quiet. And I ask my patient to talk. I use the bioenergy laws and the total structure of a chart that I got hold of many years ago by doing an assessment based on systems and organs, and I introduced the emotions and the feelings based on my experience with my patients. And my patients would always say the same thing when I touch special places, because the patient has to be aware, and that's crucial. They have to be aware of the situation they find themselves. This is very, very important. It's important that they are aware of their own dysfunction, that they don't talk about a disease, that they talk about energy dysfunction. And you must never forget that we are just another element in this ecosystem. We've heard about biochemistry and structure, but Diana and Rock have already spoken about energy. Pilar Gomez has also mentioned the energy, and I thought, thank goodness, because We have left aside Einstein, and Einstein always said that mass has energy. Every mass has energy. We are ecstatic because of gravity, but the electromagnetism of the Earth comes from everything that's in the core of the Earth. We have 1.5 volts of energy, and if it's not well distributed, we have an energy dysfunction, and we have a biochemical stimulus for healing or disease. And if we look at how we walk, if we look at how we act, and we look at how we express things, we will learn and will be able to understand everything. We'll start with the mouth. The slide wasn't big enough for the mouth, but anyway, the mouth is up there. The mouth is what we use to nurture ourselves, but not only through food. And that's something patients need to have very clear. One thing is to feed yourself, and another thing is to nurture yourself. And when you nurture yourself with a food, if you don't do it with a positive awareness of nutrition, then you're not nurtured. It's important, therefore, that patients understand that they need to nurture themselves, not only from food, but from many other things, from love, passion. This is very important because right now we are living in a moment where there is no love, there's no passion, there's no engagement. When we nurture ourselves, we need to nurture ourselves from everything, because what we feel is something that we feel when we're eating. We need to chew, because if we don't chew, we don't integrate the enzyme. We haven't heard about enzymes these 2 days, but they're very important. The epithalin enzyme is important to digest the carbohydrate. If we don't do that, when we come here, the pointer, okay. When we come here, when we are in the stomach, above we have, on the upper part, we have the fundus. That's where the carbonic gas is, because we haven't digested properly, because there has been a great fermentation the moment we swallowed our food. If our stomach is filled with air, we will have a bad digestion of our life. We're not aware of that chewing and digesting is what helps us move forward. If we don't have a digestion, when one has to digest, proteins and fat, we feel contained anger, because when your liver is blocked or when your gallbladder is blocked, what happens then? Well, when the liver is blocked, we have an excess of proteins and fat. And what happens then? The digestion is really bad. We start to create acetonic elements, toxic, muscle pain, impotence. And when you go to work, you see that person who is looking angry, really angry. And you think something is happening here. Someone who looks really, really angry. The gallbladder is anger. If we're always angry, the only thing that we're cleaning from our body is the bile. And this is something that Hippocrates already said. If there's an excess of bile, well, that means we have an inner fire. And what happens then? When all this doesn't work, if we go further down, we find the pancreas. Situations of helplessness. The pancreas is where we have the insulin block, when you do a colon hydrotherapy and the patient doesn't know what's happening to them, when did you have this feeling of helplessness where you couldn't express what you were really feeling? And they will say, well, at this moment or that moment. And they say it, and it's real. And when you have your hand on their gut, you see how that relaxes and it goes. And this is very, very important. And then we continue with the duodenum, and we find the origin of life. We've all been here. This is where children are born. This is the core of life. Michael, she mentioned already this canon point, exactly. This canon point you mentioned yesterday. This canon point. This canon point is the point that I always touch. I have to be honest. I didn't know that this point is called canon point. I didn't know that, but I always touched it and massaged it, and I would like turn it around in the anti-clockwise, and look, everything went down. So look at that, and we see here we have the 4 energy cores. In bioenergy, they are energy cores. The chakras coincide more or less. What do we have here? We have this point of the conflicts with sex. And here is when we start intervening with neurotherapy and massages, because we all know how to use a Syriax to remove this scar, or with a technique just like the one you have. Then here we already have problems to introduce the tube. All right? And here we have problems with the word bottom and with the word feces. Because sometimes when someone starts saying, you see, I don't like it when, because the whole body, all the cells, the water, everything has a historic memory. And if someone has been abused or ill-treated, this is where we see it. Subsequently, we have the conflicts with the family. Obviously, you have already mentioned the belly button, and it's true that the belly button is the connection with the mother from the moment you're born and forever. It's never destroyed. What has happened with the mother and with the child is information that stays in the gut through the belly button. You can do some manipulation that I wasn't aware of before, so thank you for telling me about all these things with the belly button. I used to do them based on my intuition, all right? And then you talk to the patient. If you see the belly with a depression, there has been abuse. And if it's distended, this person has a problem with shyness, with responsibility, and family responsibility. You will see that this person will also have circulatory problems when there is a swollen abdomen. And Christian Fletcher in Decoding says that the blood is the family. So be careful, because if we continue having a swollen abdomen as if they were pregnant without being pregnant, and the husband has an excess of responsibility with the woman, then we also have this swollen belly. And then we have the eye with the outside, with a society that connects with the family. Today, I don't know whether you see this, you have swollen bellies, really big swollen bellies. And I always think, what's happened here? Well, when you talk to the patient, they have problem at work or with money or making themselves known in a way that is clear and transparent. Because today, and this is something I do see, because some people hide who they are because they're afraid of what might happen to them.
And then what happens is only happens what has to happen. It's not by chance. And what we are doing now here today is not by chance. All the presentations are related one with another amongst themselves. And we have been empowering ourselves until the next one. And then we'll tell each other bye and see you next year. But we have learned or seen many things all together. So we should not be afraid to express what we feel inside. One of my slogans is you have to say what you feel and not say what you think, because if you say what you think, you stop saying what you feel, and then it's not fair or true anymore. I was a very close person in the past. I had a very important problem. I had cerebral thrombosis when I was 20. When I was 30, I had a tumor in a thyroid, which was just a follicle. And when I was 45, and I was bitten by a spider in the desert. And I cured myself with water, thyme, and lemon. So, what do I mean with that? Everything I tell here is what I have suffered myself in my own body. You have to learn to express what you feel and not do business with anything. Not to do something just because the business says this or that. No, that's over. Stop with it. You have to be who you are. Because Key has a story. You have a mission. The first mission is to be a son or a daughter. And then the second one is father or mother. And the third one, you have to give yourself to the rest of the world. So if you have received the fact that you are yourself, you also have to learn how to give yourself to the other people. So, then we have the next part, the next center, which is helplessness. Michael also gave a very interesting statement. When everything is blocked, diabetes type 2 is coming then. That's very clear. But there is a mechanism, a manual mechanism. You know, I suppose you're familiar with it, that chakra or the energetic center has a movement. You have to listen to that movement very carefully, really carefully, and then go against it in the opposite direction. When the water is entering, very important, because when you feel that it's going to the right or going to the left, you go in the opposite direction, making circles. Very important, because you will see that that patient from that day on will stop being diabetic type 2, of course, with the help of diet and everything. But that is something I've learned in my personal experience. Now you'll see the two angles. Here you have the splenic angle or flexure, which is the spleen, and then the angle in the hepatic area. With the colon hydrotherapies in our center, I always propose 4. Why? In a sequence once a week, because I'm unable in only one colon hydrotherapy to reach the sigmoid colon. He corrects herself. The cecum, I cannot. I'm not able. Excuse me? Nobody, exactly nobody. They say from the panel. I've heard it here, no? It's or something similar. I'm not able. So that's the first thing. With the first hydrotherapy, until this point I've just shown you because I listened to the water. Second one, I come to the hepatic flexure, and then gall is coming out, and there's a lot of gall coming out. Then you have a real problem with this patient, because then you cannot imagine how much he discharges, talking about his emotions and so on. And when we come to the ileocecal valve, then it's a conflict with the father, with the strictness of the father, the authoritarianism of the father. Very important. He is strict, and when he uses it, Dr. Limbanger from the States, one of the experts, world experts of colonoscopies, to introduce the fecal mass just exactly in that part. But well, that's the nutrition of the father. And then we reach this part, which is the appendix down here. Appendix is the historical memory of the family. People who have no appendix, I've asked it many, many times in a long time, and we have agreed upon the fact that there has been a lot of diseases in their families, and he has had to expel this with an appendicitis. But we have a problem, because appendicitis with people who have not a good and correct intestinal flora is a reservoir where you keep them, where you are regenerating and producing intestinal flora. You must not forget that the baby that is born through a cesarean, you have to open the birth channel to strengthen the muscles, and you have to give immediately bowel flora, because he has not received the information of the bowel flora of the mother. And many babies have stomach aches, or do not have stools, or have fetid green stools. In homeopathy is chamomile, but that's not the case, because the baby has no flora. If she is breastfeeding, then the baby has to reconstruct the bowel flora. It's very important what I've just told you. And then another trick: if a newborn is not defecating, you use parsley and you introduce it anally, and you move it a little bit, the tail, and you can see how it works perfectly well. And the grandmothers knew that and have used this method.
Entonces, ¿la hidroterapia de colon para qué sirve? Pues sirve para desintoxicación.
So what is the target of the hydrotherapy use? Well, first, detoxifying. We are talking about the toxins, about the chemical part, the structural part, but it's of course also emotional. Of course it's emotional. If this person does not feel this detoxifying process, oxygenated, regenerated, what kind of work are we doing? In the last speech of yesterday afternoon, we are talking about the blocking between or from both parts, left and right. I don't know if you have seen in the previous slide. Here we have the conflicts. Right one, conflicts with the father. Left one, the conflicts with the mother. Left part of your body. Irritable bowel syndrome. Most of the patients, I would say 70% of the patients, it's a conflict with brothers and sisters, siblings, with your siblings. Well, now is the second issue or item I have seawater. Seawater because I'm the daughter of seamen from Vilassar de Mar village on the Costa Brava in the north of Catalonia. And that is really in my blood. And of course, I thought, well, seawater is something that works well. I've always been on the beach. I love going to the beach. And my grandmother said, don't put anything on your skin. Wow, why is she saying that? No, don't put anything on your skin. And now I'm the one saying so. Don't put anything on your skin. You swim every 5 minutes, go into the water, you take the water, you put it in your mouth a long way, and you regurgitate and you expel the water, the seawater. It's really very important. Seawater for me. Well, for everyone, of course, in my opinion, but for everyone. Here you can see it on the slide. We are, well, made of water. And 70% is seawater. Dr. René Quinton is a French doctor. He had a lot of centers in Paris, and when he saw that he could do business with saline water, with serum and so on, well, he left his medical centers and he started to do business. I am founder of Prodimar and co-founder of another center, Aquamar, and it's important to have the seawater and to reach the patients. It's important to understand that seawater is something that is alkaline, it's purifying, regenerating, and it has or takes our genetic information, our heritage. It takes everything from the origin where life started. If we sometimes take seawater, regenerate our cells, we come back to our ancestors, we come back to our origin. And this is also something that Masaru Emoto has stated. Before dying, he ran a study about seawater. Seawater is not only to regenerate, it's our life, our source of life. Well, of course, there are always problems. It's something a bit dumb, my side. I use the Transcom device and I put a seawater container next to it, and they bring me 50 liters of seawater, oxygenating and so on. After 2 years, it exploded because it's corrosive. So it crashed. They prepared it perfectly well, but it's corrosive, so it crashed. I talked to Aquamaris and told them, look what has happened, container is broken, okay, give me the information. And in the end, I prepared my own technique. I was the one making the first error, which is half a liter of seawater into the vein of the manager of Aquamaris, Laureano Dominguez. And as a nurse, I was the one having to do this therapy. That gentleman was hypertense. After 12 minutes and 30 seconds, that gentleman started to normalize his hypertension. And from that moment on, we ran another study with 2 dogs with leishmaniasis in the hospital in Mataró. One was very thin, cachexic, phase 1-2. The cachexic one lived 7 years more.
Bien, pero que teníamos más miedo.
The other one was also, but we were a bit afraid or concerned about the cachexic one. First, subcutaneous injections, then intra-joint, intra-articular injections to reach the cartilage of the limbs, and then seawater baths. It was really remarkable. It was a really remarkable experience, the treatment of these dogs. What can I say about seawater after telling you all this? It's the best system to alkalinize. But you must be careful with certain persons. For example, you have to take into account the status of that person, its condition. We've talked about cancers. Cancer, it is the only way, without being rectal, the only way to stabilize an internal medium. It's with seawater, because it's a natural product from nature. It's not damaging because it's part of our body, and it's a product that can regenerate us. All our internal space and room, the Bissinger room, as Dr. Pilar Gomez has mentioned, with the sodium-potassium pump, we talk a lot about that. It's really remarkable, unbelievable. I encourage you. Encourage you to do it, really, because you will see the results in your own body. Just a small glass of cognac, a shot just before lunch. Half of it seawater and half water. So it's our cognac shot, but with water and seawater. That's how I do it with colon hydrotherapy. I don't find the bottles anymore, but I have used bottles in the past, because in the laboratory in Villa Sardedal,
ellas vacías. Entonces yo las cargo.
And I filled the bottles, I put a cap on it, and I use it as a saline solution. And I use this half a liter, always isotonic, a half, 50-50 with seawater and saline solution. And unbelievable good results. But now they've changed the amount of the size, and now I use the catheters, the probes, the injections, and so on. Syringes. So it depends on what kind of person I'm treating. Seawater is really excellent. It's really an excellent remedy. For me, it's very important, essential. Okay, let's go on. Here you have all the elements of the earth, oligoelements, minerals, the whole periodic table. There isn't lacking any of these components. 2 minutes, okay. And this is to talk about 2 or 3 typical diseases. Crohn disease, colitis ulcerosis. What does it mean? It means that they have suffered a lot of intervention. Christian Freitzer says these things are really big messes. Big messes. When you talk to the patient, yes, because they have thrown me out of the job, and my wife has left me for another one, has cheated on me, and so on. Well, that's a big mess in your life, of course. Further on, you will have possibilities to ask me questions. And then parasitosis, 3 tinea. I have cured. The best way to remove a tinea, you introduce seawater combined with apple vinegar. A bottle like this, half vinegar, apple vinegar, and half seawater. Alkaline agents, and the head is eliminated. You have to do it in a certain technical way, but this is the summary, and the summary of this technique. And the head is chopped off with this method. The head of the tinea, of course.
Igual.
Sí, solo hay tiempo para una pregunta, Leonor, lo siento.
For one question.
Pues una pregunta.
¿Alguna pregunta?
Questions for Leonor.
Espera, allí. Espera un momento. Pregunta. Vale. ¿Tú que eres médico?
Si no, luego a solas.
Yo no solo soy médico, sino que
soy doctor. I'm from the Mediterranean. I live close to the beach, the same as yourself. But I'm interested in what you do with the water. You take it just like that from the sea. You purify it, you clean it. The sea is not as it was in the past. No, we have Aquamaris. This is an association in Badalona, just next to Barcelona. Then you have a channel. And you have an exploitation, you have the cultivation down in the depth of the sea. But I use a commercial brand Which one? Quinton or Biomaris? Quinton or Biomaris? For me, I'm more interested in Biomaris because it has a blue-colored bottle and you don't lose so much due to oxygenation. Always. I don't know what she's asked, but she says always. Yes. And then in the end, I think they have asked first hypotonic. Yes, but in the end, you can ingest hypertonics. Okay, that's it. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Bueno,